It's so hard to answer because, if you have good fortune enough to have been in some.
Im Alter von 80 Jahren hat Sam Elliott mit seiner unverwechselbar rauen Stimme und dem unverkennbaren Cowboy-Image endlich das Schweigen gebrochen. In einem seltenen Interview enthüllte er eine Liste von 5 Schauspielern, die er nicht ausstehen kann. Sie werden überrascht sein, wer es auf diese Liste geschafft hat. Lassen Sie uns einen Blick darauf werfen. Few actors embody the spirit of the American West as unmistakably as Sam Elliott. With his resonant voice, rugged presence, and an authenticity that feels inseparable from the landscapes he inhabits, Elliott has become an emblem of what a true cowboy should be. But even a legend like him has a list of performers who, in his eyes, missed the mark, and in doing so, tested his patience. Among those names, Kevin Costner is the first to appear on the list. Kevin Costner, Hollywood's polished cowboy. Sam Elliott has never been shy about voicing his opinions, and Kevin Costner often finds himself at the receiving end of Elliott's candid assessments. In interviews, Elliott once referred to Costner as Hollywood's fake cowboy, a label that cuts deeper than casual criticism. It targets the very essence of Costner's on-screen persona. For Elliott, the cowboy is not a product to be polished or a costume to be worn with style. It is a lived experience, a raw connection to the land and the struggles of the frontier. This philosophical divide came into sharp relief when Yellowstone, the hit neo-Western series, sought to recruit Elliott. He turned down the opportunity flatly, dismissing the show as a soap opera with cowboy hats. To him, the program's narratives were overly dramatized, its characters stylized to a degree that stripped away any genuine engagement with the hardships and quiet heroism of ranch life. Costner, often celebrated for his cowboy roles, embodies for Elliott the opposite of what he values: a clean, almost glamorized vision of the West that feels rehearsed rather than lived. Elliott's disdain is not merely a critique of style, it is a statement about authenticity in acting. He believes that the cowboy's truth is measured in dirt under fingernails, in the subtle fatigue of the body under the sun, in the intimacy of silence shared with vast landscapes. Costner's performances, in Elliott's eyes, are missing this tactile honesty. They shine too brightly under the Hollywood spotlight, glossing over the grit and unpredictability that give the cowboy his depth and humanity. Benedict Cumberbatch, a misstep across the plains. If Costner represents the polished mainstream cowboy that Elliott resists, Benedict Cumberbatch represents a different kind of misfire. A technically skilled actor who fails to grasp the elemental reality of the setting he inhabits. Elliott has been openly critical of Cumberbatch's performance in Jane Campion's The Power of the Dog, describing it as overly mannered, almost theatrical, and deeply disconnected from the American West's essence. Elliott's critique hinges on what he considers a foundational truth. An actor portraying life in the Western Plains must feel the land. It is not enough to study lines or master cadence. The performer must understand the wind's bite, the weight of dust underfoot, the unspoken language of open spaces. According to Elliott, Cumberbatch, brilliant as he may be in other roles, lacks this tactile connection. His portrayal, Elliott argues, comes across as learned rather than lived, erasing the subtle tensions that make a character compelling in this particular milieu. This criticism illuminates Elliott's broader philosophy on acting. Western roles demand immersion, almost a spiritual attunement to a specific geography and culture. The stakes are not just narrative, but existential. Characters are measured by their engagement with the environment as much as by their dialogue. From Elliott's perspective, Cumberbatch's performance, while technically polished, misses the invisible dialogue between actor and land that forms the backbone of every memorable Western. Ashton Kutcher. Substance versus social persona. During the filming of The Ranch, Elliott encountered Ashton Kutcher, an actor whose fame had been built as much on television charisma and social media presence as on traditional acting prowess. Elliott was openly critical, suggesting that Kutcher's celebrity was less about craft and more about image management. In interviews, he remarked that Kutcher dilutes the profession, implying that the ease with which modern actors gain visibility can overshadow the discipline and commitment that acting demands. For Elliott, this was not merely a professional gripe. It was a philosophical clash. Acting, in his view, is a rigorous craft that requires empathy, timing, and a nuanced understanding of human emotion. When he perceives an actor prioritizing popularity or brand over substance, it diminishes the art form in his eyes. With Kutcher, Elliott felt the performance environment shift toward convenience and spectacle, undermining the meticulous attention to detail he prizes. It was a tension between Hollywood's accelerating pace and Elliott's insistence on the patience and authenticity that have defined his career. Nicolas Cage. The performance as spectacle. Nicolas Cage presents a very different challenge. Known for his eccentricity and the theatrical flair he brings to roles, Cage's style clashes with Elliott's understated, grounded approach. Even when sharing the screen in Ghost Rider, Elliott maintained a professional distance, choosing not to fully align with Cage's idiosyncratic energy. He has described Cage's performances as loud and strange, noting that they can overshadow the subtle conveyance of emotion that Elliott considers essential. Elliott's critique of Cage is less about personality and more about philosophy. For him, acting should communicate internal truth, not dominate the audience with flamboyance or spectacle. Cage's approach, while celebrated by some for its daring, represents the antithesis of Elliott's methodology. The performance is externalized, a display of intensity rather than a conduit for genuine emotional resonance. The contrast highlights Elliott's enduring commitment to restraint, precision, and the quiet power of understated realism, a principle he refuses to compromise, even for collaboration with A-list peers. Jeff Bridges. Friendship and the loss of groundedness. Perhaps the most poignant example of Elliott's disillusionment with Hollywood transformations is his estrangement from Jeff Bridges. Once close friends after working together on The Big Lebowski, their relationship deteriorated as Bridges' persona evolved under the pressures of fame. Elliott expressed disappointment at what he perceived as Bridges' increasing glitz and Hollywoodification, lamenting that the authentic, earthy presence that had made Bridges compelling was eroding. This rift underscores a recurring theme in Elliott's worldview: the tension between authenticity and celebrity culture. To Elliott, the essence of acting, and the human connections it fosters, cannot coexist with excessive image consciousness. Bridges' trajectory, in Elliott's eyes, illustrated how the glamour of Hollywood can corrode natural talent and personal integrity, leaving behind a performative veneer rather than the grounded reality that Elliott treasures. Their estrangement is a microcosm of Elliott's larger critique of the industry. Relationships, craft, and even self-presentation are constantly at risk of being compromised by external pressures. At 80 years old, Sam Elliott remains one of Hollywood's most steadfast advocates for authenticity. In an industry increasingly driven by social media influence, glitzy performances, and celebrity branding, Elliott's career stands as a testament to a different set of values: subtlety, lived experience, and emotional truth. Where many actors pursue visibility and spectacle, Elliott prioritizes the integrity of the craft above all else. This perspective has shaped his views on colleagues and co-stars, often leading to candid assessments that reveal both his high standards and his deep respect for genuine artistry. Elliott's critiques, whether directed at Kevin Costner's polished cowboy persona, Benedict Cumberbatch's stylized performance, Ashton Kutcher's fame-driven approach, Nicolas Cage's flamboyant intensity, or Jeff Bridges' Hollywood transformation, stem from a singular principle: authenticity matters more than popularity. He perceives a disconnect when actors prioritize image over immersion, or when performances become displays of technique rather than reflections of lived reality. For Elliott, acting is not simply about delivering lines. It is about inhabiting a character, feeling the texture of the environment, and conveying emotion that resonates with honesty. This commitment to truth sets Elliott apart in an era where fast fame often overshadows discipline. On screen, his performances radiate a grounded presence, the kind that comes from observing life carefully, understanding the subtleties of human interaction, and embracing the physical and emotional realities of a character's world. Off-screen, his frank opinions underscore his refusal to compromise these values, even when it means criticizing popular or celebrated figures. In doing so, he positions himself as both a practitioner and a guardian of the craft, reminding the industry that real artistry demands patience, observation, and depth. Elliott's perspective also illuminates a broader truth about Hollywood. Fame and skill do not always align. Actors like Kutcher or Cage may command attention, yet Elliott measures success by a different standard: the ability to convey truth and integrity. Even friendships, such as the one he once shared with Jeff Bridges, are subject to this philosophy. Elliott respected Bridges' grounded presence in the past, but when that authenticity gave way to Hollywood polish, the bond weakened. These experiences highlight Elliott's unwavering principle that sincerity, not glamour, defines both artistry and human connection. Sam Elliott's candid reflections offer more than entertainment. They provide insight into the values that have sustained a career spanning decades. For those who admire the craft of acting, his principles serve as both inspiration and a guidepost, emphasizing that respect, credibility, and artistry come from mastery and truth, not just fame or spectacle. If you enjoyed exploring these rare insights into Sam Elliott's uncompromising standards and his views on Hollywood's most prominent figures, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. By joining the channel, you'll uncover more behind-the-scenes stories and deep dives into the lives of legendary actors, gaining a closer look at the principles and experiences that shape the icons of cinema. Elliott's journey reminds us all that in a world captivated by glamour, authenticity is the legacy that endures.